The Golden State Warriors and Jonathan Kuminga are locked in a high-stakes game of chicken that could rewrite the rules of NBA free agency. What started as a routine contract negotiation has exploded into one of the most fascinating front office standoffs in recent memory, a collision of ego, economics, and systemic flaws in the league's structure. At just 23 years old, Kuminga finds himself at the center of a perfect storm. A restricted free agent with all-star potential, trapped in a system designed to suppress his earnings, playing for a franchise that no longer seems to want him. This isn't just another contract dispute. It's a case study in how the NBA's financial mechanisms can fail both players and teams simultaneously. The Warriors, still clinging to their championship window with an aging core, are caught between competing priorities. Kuminga, the raw but electrifying forward they drafted 7th overall in 2021, represents both their future and their biggest headache. After 3 seasons of inconsistent development in Golden State's complex system, the Congolese forward has made his position clear. He wants to be paid like the star he believes he can become, or he wants out. The numbers tell a story of irreconcilable differences. Kuminga's camp views him as a $25 to $30 million per year player based on his per 36-minute production, 18.7 points, 6.2 rebounds, and elite athletic tools. The Warriors have offered the mid-level exception, about $14 million annually, essentially valuing him as a role player. This $10+ million gap isn't just about money, it's about fundamentally different evaluations of his potential. Making matters worse, the NBA's restricted free agency rules and this summer's unprecedented cap crunch have left Kuminga with almost no leverage. Only one team, Brooklyn, had meaningful cap space, and they passed. All 3 paths have collapsed for Kuminga, leaving only the nuclear option, signing a 1-year qualifying offer for $7.9 million to hit unrestricted free agency in 2026. It's a move so rare that only 3 notable players have attempted it in the past 15 years, all with disastrous results. But Kuminga might be the first young star desperate enough to try. The ripple effects could be enormous. If Kuminga takes the qualifying offer and succeeds, it could embolden other disgruntled RFAs to challenge the system. If he fails, it could reinforce teams' power in these negotiations. Either way, this standoff has become about much more than one player's contract. It's a stress test for the entire NBA's economic structure. As training camp looms, the basketball world watches nervously. Will the Warriors blink? Will Kuminga gamble on himself? Or will we see an unprecedented third path emerge? One thing's certain, the outcome will send shockwaves through front offices across the league and potentially alter how teams and young stars negotiate for years to come. This isn't just business as usual. It's a battle for the soul of NBA free agency. The Golden State Warriors' reluctance to meet Jonathan Kuminga's contract demands isn't just stubborn negotiation tactics. It's a calculated stance rooted in their precarious financial reality and philosophical evaluation of his game. The franchise that revolutionized modern basketball now finds itself trapped between competing priorities, with Kuminga's contract situation exposing the flaws in their much-hyped 2 timelines approach. At the heart of this standoff is a brutal truth the Warriors understand better than anyone. Kuminga simply hasn't developed into the seamless fit they envisioned when they drafted him 7th overall in 2021. Steve Kerr's system demands precise decision-making, elite shooting, and instinctive off-ball movement. 3 areas where Kuminga has shown only marginal improvement. While his athleticism leaps off the screen, his 32.1% three-point shooting and 2.1 assists per 36 minutes reveal a player who still operates best in simplified, isolation-heavy scenarios rather than Golden State's beautiful game. What makes this particularly awkward is how publicly the relationship has deteriorated. Multiple reports indicate the Warriors would prefer to trade Kuminga than commit long-term money, a shocking admission for a former lottery pick just entering his prime. Their rumored asking price, a quality rotation player, and draft compensation suggests they view him more as a trade chip than cornerstone. This organizational skepticism traces back to his inconsistent playoff performances, including being completely benched during crucial moments of their 2022 championship run. The Warriors front office finds itself in a no-win scenario. overpay Kuminga and they risk handicapping their roster construction for years. Let him walk and they waste a premium draft asset for nothing. The $14 million mid-level exception they've offered represents their compromise. Enough money to show they value him, but not so much that it jeopardizes their ability to retool around Curry. It's a calculated gamble that the system will force Kuminga to accept their terms, but one that could backfire spectacularly if he chooses the nuclear option. The NBA's restricted free agency system has become a financial straitjacket for Jonathan Kuminga, exposing how the league's mechanisms designed to protect teams can actively work against talented young players. At its core, restricted free agency operates like a rigged game where the house always wins. Teams maintain all the leverage while players face limited options and depressed market value. Kuminga's current predicament reveals the brutal economics of this system in stark relief. Unlike unrestricted free agents who can sign with any team, restricted free agents like Kuminga must navigate a Byzantine process where their incumbent team holds matching rights. This creates a perverse incentive structure where potential suitors face massive disincentives to make competitive offers. Why would another team spend weeks negotiating with Kuminga, tie up their cap space, and craft an offer sheet only to see Golden State match it within 48 hours? The result is what league insiders call the restricted free agency freeze-out, a market paralysis where talented players see little to no serious interest. The historical data paints a damning picture. Since 2016, only 4 restricted free agents have changed teams via offer sheets: Tyler Johnson, Alan Crabb, Otto Porter Jr., and Royce O'Neal. The common denominator? Their former teams all declined to match only because the contracts contained outrageous poison pill structures specifically designed to be unmatchable. For players like Kuminga seeking market value deals, the success rate is essentially zero. Teams have learned it's better to either overpay their own RFAs or let them walk than engage in competitive bidding. Each option carries significant career risk while providing the Warriors with all the leverage. This imbalance explains why star-caliber RFAs almost never change teams, creating what economists call a market failure, where talent isn't allocated efficiently. For Kuminga, it means being trapped between accepting unfair compensation or making a career-jeopardizing gamble, an impossible choice no elite professional should face. Jonathan Kuminga stands at the edge of a decision that could redefine NBA contract negotiations forever, signing the qualifying offer, a 1-year, $7.9 million deal that would make him an unrestricted free agent in 2026. This path is so rare, so fraught with risk, that only a handful of players in league history have dared to take it. The consequences could be catastrophic, but for Kuminga, it might be the only way to reclaim control of his career. The financial gamble alone is staggering. By accepting the qualifying offer, Kuminga would immediately leave $6 million on the table compared to the Warriors' current $14 million annual offer. That's a massive pay cut for a player who believes he's worth far more. But the real danger lies in the uncertainty. One serious injury, a torn ACL, a ruptured Achilles, could wipe out his chance at a life-changing contract. The NBA is littered with cautionary tales. Victor Oladipo's career trajectory changed overnight after his quad injury, and the same could happen to Kuminga if luck turns against him. Then there's the psychological toll. Returning to the Warriors under these conditions would be a minefield. The organization has made it clear they don't see him as a cornerstone, and head coach Steve Kerr has already shown reluctance to give him consistent minutes. How would Kuminga respond if he's benched in crucial moments? How would the locker room react to a player who's essentially on a 1-year probation? The tension could derail both his season and the team's chemistry. The stakes couldn't be higher. This isn't just about Kuminga's next contract. It's about shifting the balance of power between players and teams. The nuclear option is on the table. The only question left is whether he's willing to push the button. The Kuminga Warriors stalemate isn't just a contract dispute. It's a stress test for the entire NBA ecosystem. However this plays out, the ramifications will ripple across front offices and shape how teams negotiate with young stars for years to come. At its core, this standoff exposes the growing tension between the league's restrictive free agency rules and player empowerment. The current system gives teams near total control over first contract stars, creating scenarios where talented players like Kuminga have little leverage despite their potential. If he ultimately signs the qualifying offer and succeeds elsewhere, it could embolden other RFAs to follow suit, potentially unraveling one of the last mechanisms teams have to retain homegrown talent. Perhaps most importantly, this saga highlights the flawed economics of player development. Kuminga's stagnation in Golden State's win-now environment raises uncomfortable questions. Are elite teams the right place for raw prospects? Should the draft right system be reformed to prevent talent mismatches? His situation mirrors recent cases like James Wiseman and Patrick Williams, high lottery picks whose growth stalled in competitive systems. As training camp approaches, the basketball world watches nervously. Will Kuminga's gamble spark a wave of RFA rebellions? Will teams become even more reluctant to draft projects? One thing is certain, this standoff has exposed cracks in the NBA's foundation that can't be ignored. However it ends, the Kuminga saga will be remembered as a turning point, the moment the league's carefully constructed control over young talent began to fracture. The final chapter hasn't been written, but the warning signs are clear. The NBA's next labor battle might have just found its first casualty. The Jonathan Kuminga saga represents more than just a contract dispute. It's a microcosm of the NBA's evolving power dynamics. Whether he signs a long-term deal, forces a trade, or takes the unprecedented gamble of accepting the qualifying offer, his decision will send shockwaves through the league. If he bets on himself and wins, it could embolden a new generation of young stars to challenge the restrictive free agency system. If he loses, it may reinforce the status quo, giving teams even greater control over developing talent. For the Warriors, this is a defining moment in their post-dynasty transition. Their handling of Kuminga will reveal whether they can successfully pivot from the Curry era or risk squandering future assets in pursuit of fading glory. For the rest of the league, it's a cautionary tale about the risks of misaligned timelines and the true cost of financial inflexibility. No matter the outcome, one thing is certain. The NBA's next era of labor negotiations will be shaped by this standoff. The battle between player empowerment and team control has found its newest battleground, and the repercussions will be felt for years to come. Like and subscribe for more deep dives into the NBA's biggest story.